hey, hi, nice to meet you. Can I grab your neck? It's like really hard.
But really hard?
It's not because I want to, because I feel like she would.
Ryan Reynolds is fuming after Blake Lively once again couldn't stop herself from falling head over heels for another co-star.
Not Blake Lively confessing to grabbing her co-star's nuts because she felt like that's just what her character would do.
Her messy behavioral pattern is not just embarrassing anymore, it's actively dragging Ryan's once perfect image through the mud. You're probably wondering who it is this time, right?
Has happened to her. She has, been in love with Penn Badgley from, Gossip Girl, then she got with Ryan Reynolds.
Blake decided to casually grab Henry Golding's crotch during the A Simple Favor Blu-ray commentary. You heard me. She straight up reached for his nuts on camera, laughed about it, and acted like it was just some adorable improv.
She just can't help herself. And to see that she's willing to do that, she'll grab them.
Blake Lively, ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood's very own walking HR violation. She had no script approval for that little stunt, no intimacy coordinator, no professional boundaries, just a handful of arrogance and no shame.
And you really went for it, too.
That's always awkward. And you're like, hey, hi, nice to meet you. Can I grab your neck?
Meanwhile, Henry Golding is sitting there looking like he wants to crawl out of his own skin. His body language is practically filing its own lawsuit. But don't worry, the director Paul Feig thought it was hilarious. Yeah, nothing says professional set like encouraging sexual assault for a few laughs. If Henry had turned around and said, hey Blake, nice to meet you, mind if I grab your crotch real quick? You already know the media would have set his career on fire before he even finished the sentence.
She is speaking with Paul Feig, who's the director of the movie, and he's basically complimenting her for coming up with this little improv move of grabbing her co-star's private parts, which you can see right here in a still, and she's laughing about it, and then he laughs as Paul Feig does. He's like, it does.
But because it's quirky Blake? Nah. She gets to plug her husband's aviation gin mid-commentary like she's running a happy hour special on sexual harassment. Truly, what a feminist icon.
Between the nut grab and the literal product placement of her husband's gin on this thing, it's all so ridiculous.
And speaking of aviation gin, let's talk about the sheer shamelessness of Blake sneaking in an ad for her husband's brand right after assaulting her co-star. Grabbing nuts and grabbing brand deals in the same breath? That's some Olympic-level trash behavior.
Right. Wait, so am I blaming my husband for
am I saying he killed her?
This is one of my favorite additions that you came up with. I think it's nuts. And you really went for it, too.
That's always awkward. And you're like, hey, hi, nice to meet you. Can I grab your neck?
Imagine if a man did that. Imagine the outrage, the cancel campaigns, the desperate apology tours. But not Blake? Nope. She gets to keep riding her fake feminist wave straight into the land of Instagram brand partnerships.
She just can't help herself. And to see that she's willing to do that, she'll grab them.
Fast forward to March 30th, 2025, and Blake is at it again with the fakery. This time she's pulling a full Vogue cover shoot inside a donut shop in Connecticut, pretending it's some spontaneous, down-to-earth fan moment. Honey, no one randomly shows up to a bakery in a full glam squad, looking like you're about to launch a Food Network career.
Humble myself a bit, and guess what she's doing? She's baking. This is the headline that ran. Blake Lively surprises fans by working behind the counter at a Connecticut donut shop. And it says that she was in a really happy mood. The source told people that. The source, by the way, is her PR team. It's Leslie Sloan, if you wanted to know.
Especially not someone who just filed court papers saying they're too mentally shattered to walk out the front door. Which is it, Blake? You're either a trembling PTSD victim or you're Betty Crocker's deranged twin. Pick a lane. Of course, Blake's publicist Leslie Sloan didn't waste a second. She ran to People magazine to plant a headline about how Blake was in a really happy mood. Wow.
Food is probably the most central part of my life, Lively previously told Vogue. Food and family, but those are completely intertwined because food was so important to me growing up since my mom is an amazing cook.
Totally organic. Nothing screams authenticity like a carefully crafted PR push to tell us that the woman suing for emotional distress is feeling positively chipper tossing donuts. Honestly, at this point, Blake's entire existence is just one giant press release disguised as a life.
Blake Lively was spotted this weekend in her happy place, which apparently is also when she grabs her co-stars without permission.
And because one fake vibe isn't enough, Blake drags her sister Robin Lively into the mix, shoving her into the background of all the photos. Look, nothing against Robin. She's actually talented. But dragging your sister into a staged bakery shoot to make yourself look more relatable is next level desperate. It's giving please forget I'm suing someone for existing near me energy, and it's not working.
It's also good PR because she's with her family while she's doing this. In the background of these photos, you can see, I always tell you this, that's the actual talented sister. Like, let's not forget Robin Lively slayed the day when I was growing up.
Let's talk about how Blake's trauma magically vanishes the second a camera shows up. Court filings claim she can't leave bed, can't go outside, can't function. Yet here she is, grinning like she just won a pie-eating contest, surrounded by cinnamon rolls and overpriced PR consultants. It's almost like her anxiety is allergic to good lighting. PTSD, but make it pastel and profitable. Blake's entire timeline of disasters reads like a manual on how to fake woke your way through Hollywood. In 2015, she thought it was a good idea to sell slavery-themed Black History Month muffin kits. Yep, nothing says respect for civil rights like turning racial trauma into baked goods. Fast forward to 2018, and she's bragging about grabbing Henry Golding's nuts. Now it's 2020, and she's staging bakery photo ops while claiming she's one step away from needing a therapy dog just to open the fridge. A full decade of delusion, folks. A highlight reel of cluelessness. Meanwhile, the main players in this car crash of a story couldn't be more embarrassing. Blake Lively, self-declared victim who can't stop baking.
Is that Aviation American gin again?
Wow.
Shameless.
Truly shameless. Truly shameless.
Oh my God.
Ryan Reynolds, husband/brand manager, whose main job is apparently cleaning up Blake's messes with a mop made of aviation gin. Henry Golding, poor guy just trying to survive without getting fondled on set. Justin Baldoni, the next unlucky co-star caught in Blake's whirlwind of disaster. Paul Feig, the director who laughed off a real harassment incident because #girlbossenergy or whatever.
I want dividends.
Yeah, I don't think he's kidding. He deserves dividends, and Henry Golding's face says it all. Between the nut grab and the literal product placement for husband's cheat on this thing, it's all so ridiculous.
Blake Lively isn't a victim. She's a boundary-challenged opportunist who grabs nuts on camera, sells slavery muffins for profit, and cries trauma only when the lighting is bad. She's the human version of a cupcake, frosted to perfection on the outside, hollow and messy on the inside. Hollywood finally took the frosting off and found the mess underneath. And is it ugly?
Blake cannot claim to be a victim of sexual misconduct on the set of a movie while she openly brags about the unscripted sexual misconduct that she partakes in when she's on the sets of movies. That's exactly what she's done.
Blake Lively's messy history didn't start with grabbing Henry Golding's nuts. Oh no. If anything, that was just the sad little cherry on top of a disaster cake she's been baking for years. Let's rewind to 2015, where our queen of bad decisions thought it would be cute to sell slavery-themed Black History Month muffin kits.
The irony of all this is so strange, given that, she's the one who made the weird Black History slavery muffins for $168 back in 2015. She's also the one who made the boob cake.
Yes, you heard that right. Nothing says I respect Black history like charging rich suburban moms to experience the trauma of racial oppression via overpriced blueberry batter. Forget education, forget real activism. Blake's solution was to package centuries of suffering into a pastel brunch accessory. And she still thought she was nailing her relatable feminist era.
While she's fought to maintain her personal life, business interests behind closed doors, she has suffered from grief, fear, trauma, and extreme anxiety. She's also been experiencing repeated painful symptoms. Anyway, I don't want to say she's not suffering. Whatever. The reality is, this doesn't help your case.
But Blake wasn't done. Because when she's not trivializing racial pain for Instagram aesthetics, She's crossing yet another line that no normal person would even think about. Also, in 20, Blake decided it was a brilliant idea to bake a boob-shaped cake for her 1-year-old daughter.
She's also the one who made the boob cake. She is a very inappropriate baker.
A baby who couldn't even talk yet, let alone ask for cleavage-themed desserts. Like seriously, what part of my toddler needs a boob cake felt like the right move? This wasn't quirky. This was just disturbing. Most moms bake cute little animal cakes or maybe some colorful cupcakes. But Blake? Nope. She had to take it straight to softcore territory because apparently boundaries are just suggestions in her world.
Yes, she also made a boob cake for her 1-year-old, because what else do they want but a boob cake? He can't declare what he wants, so boobs. Haha. All of this, again, so inappropriate given what she's alleging in her complaints.
And this wasn't a one-off oopsie moment either. This was part of a consistent pattern where Blake infantilizes real-world serious topics, like race and body image, all for a few cheap likes and some fake press coverage. The woman's entire brand is basically a pastel-wrapped chaos machine, churning out one tone-deaf moment after another like she's running a cringe fest factory. Blake Lively doesn't just make bad decisions. She packages them, sells them, and throws a filter on them to make it look charming.
He can't win it. This is an unwinnable lawsuit. The biggest loser in all this, by the way, is the New York Times. Like, how stupid. I mean, it must have been a phone call. They have to settle this. There's no way that he lost things. Justin Baldoni has real damages.
Speaking of consistently awful choices, let's talk about her professional homewrecker era, starring none other than Justin Baldoni. On the set of It Ends With Us in 2024, Blake and Justin's chemistry wasn't just professional, it was laughing till crying levels of inappropriate. You know that laugh that's way too flirty, way too personal, the kind of laugh that makes everyone else in the room feel like they need to leave? Yeah, that was Blake on set every single day.
To make sure that Justin Baldoni could never work in Hollywood again, that person was Ryan Reynolds, okay?
And because Blake's idea of boundaries is about as solid as her muffin kits, she decided to invite Baldoni to her penthouse. Not weird at all, right? But wait, it gets worse. She was literally holding her infant child while cozying up to him. Because nothing screams, I'm scared of harassment, like hosting pajama brunches with a married co-star and using your own baby as a prop. Imagine inviting a man you're supposedly uncomfortable around into your luxury penthouse and then handing him your newborn like it's a trust exercise. But sure, Blake, tell us more about how terrified you were.
He says, this whole idea is like a sexual harassment. She invited him to her penthouse and he was holding her baby. Like, the guy that sexually you're not having him to your house and letting him hold your kid.
Just in case anyone thought this was gossip, journalist Mia Shaker's documentary He Said, She Said confirmed their emotional entanglement. Professional journalism. Not a fan forum, not a TikTok conspiracy, actual receipts. So when Blake tried to spin a mild compliment from Baldoni, "You smell good," into some giant harassment trauma narrative. It was so laughable that even her own stans had to blink twice.
Given all the things that she's out there saying, he said I smelled good and called me sexy. I'm sorry, you look really bad. This looks really bad. Why did you do all this?
Like, girl, he said you smelled nice during a slow dancing scene, not that he wanted to reenact a soap opera with you. The only thing violent about that interaction was the way Blake violently twisted the facts to fit her next pity party PR stunt. So she filed a civil rights complaint in California. Because when you're that deep in the victim cosplay, why stop at Instagram captions?
But something happened to Blake. And by 2024, she was clutching her pearls. She just needed nobody to say anything to her ever out of character or anything, because she moved to file a civil rights complaint in California because Justin Baldoni stepped out of character when they were filming a slow dancing scene.
She claimed Baldoni entered her trailer uninvited while she was breastfeeding. Big problem though. She later had to admit under oath that she literally invited him in. Like, sent the text, opened the door, everything. And somehow, Blake still thought she could spin this into he invaded my space trauma. You cannot make this stuff up. When she got caught lying, not contextualizing, Blake pulled the dumbest defense I've ever heard. She literally said, I didn't lie. I just didn't contextualize. That's not even gaslighting anymore. That's gaslighting's dumber, messier cousin. Translation: she admitted he came in because she told him to, but oops, she forgot to mention that part when she filed the lawsuit. Totally innocent mistake, right? Wrong. It's straight up manipulation 101.
I will burn down your career, and I will burn down my career, and I will also inflict pain upon our children.
Here's the thing. Blake loves to play the helpless, delicate victim, but she's also the same person bragging about grabbing her co-star's junk on a Blu-ray commentary. The doctrine of unclean hands exists for people exactly like her. You don't get to accuse someone of harassment while you're out here proudly recounting your own boundary-breaking adventures. You don't get to cry foul when someone says you smell nice while you're on tape groping people for laughs. You don't get to sue someone for a non-event when you're the walking, talking definition of workplace misconduct.
While she's fought to maintain her personal life, business interests behind closed doors, she has suffered from grief, fear, trauma, and extreme anxiety. She's also been experiencing repeated painful symptoms. Anyway, I don't want to say she's not suffering. Whatever. The reality is, this doesn't help your case.
Candace Owens, who usually doesn't miss when it comes to calling out this Hollywood hypocrisy, torched Blake for exactly this. She called her a professional victim who plays trauma like a TikTok filter. One minute she's clutching pearls in court filings, the next she's whipping up cinnamon buns for Instagram. It's all an act and not even a good one. If Blake spent half as much energy on being honest as she does on cooking up new PR stunts, maybe she wouldn't have to hide behind lawsuits and staged bakery shoots.
Anyway, I don't want to say she's not suffering. Whatever. The reality is, this doesn't help your case.
Blake Lively's entire brand is based on the idea that she's this cute, relatable, quirky girl who just happens to be stunningly rich, connected, and terrible at reading the room. But the receipts don't lie. Whether it's slavery muffins, boob cakes, nut grabs, fake trauma narratives, or penthouse pajama parties with co-stars, Blake has made one thing very clear. She's not a victim. She's not relatable. She's not even remotely innocent. She's just a pastel-coated opportunist who treats serious issues like set dressing for her next career move.
Has happened to her. She has, been in love with Penn Badgley from, Gossip Girl, then she got with Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds losing his mind over Blake's emotional affair was honestly the least surprising thing to come out of this whole disaster. According to insiders, he didn't just get mad, he promised to burn down her entire career and his own house, like some deranged Hallmark movie villain.
He's basically saying, I will burn down my entire house. I will burn down your career.
Imagine being so fragile that your first instinct when your fake, perfect life falls apart is to nuke everything around you, including yourself. Ryan wasn't worried about fixing his marriage or protecting his kids. Nope. His main concern was making sure Blake's mistakes didn't make his brand look bad. Because if there's one thing Ryan Reynolds loves more than Hugh Jackman, it's his Instagram persona. Instead of just ending the lawsuits like a normal person and moving on with life, Ryan pushed for gag orders.
The fact that Ryan is now trying to get a gag order as opposed to ending the lawsuit.
Not to heal anything, not to make peace, but to make sure no one, and I mean no one, messed with his polished internet husband image. He wasn't trying to save his marriage, he was trying to save his marketing contracts. You can almost see him frantically emailing his PR team. Emergency, emergency. Blake's bakery shoot isn't trending enough to fix this.
Baking with genius good friends and their kitchen mixer the size of a car. This is what my happy place looks like. She plays like the Yoshi Super Mario World theme.
But Ryan's tantrum didn't stop there. He actually fast-tracked a New York Times hit piece on Justin Baldoni. The New York Times, people. A newspaper that's supposed to be about real journalism, not petty husband revenge missions. Baldoni didn't even get the chance to submit his video evidence before the piece was rushed out.
We are observing is essentially a ticking time bomb, a timer on Ryan Reynolds' ego.
Professional journalism? More like professional babysitting for Ryan's bruised ego. This wasn't about justice. It was about making sure everyone pointed at Baldoni and not at the giant crumbling muffin of lies that was the Reynolds-Lively marriage.
Is Blake Lively has nothing to do with what is happening. Her husband has come undone. Blake Lively developed some feelings for Justin Baldoni.
And because micromanaging lawsuits wasn't enough, Ryan apparently decided Blake's Instagram needed a full PR makeover too. Reports say he was practically choreographing her posts, telling her to look quirky and relatable online to distract from the dumpster fire burning behind them. Blake, please, go bake something. Smile more. Maybe photobomb another bakery. Quick. Toss some flour around. Act like you're just a happy-go-lucky mom and not a walking lawsuit factory. The emotional manipulation here is so off the charts it could power the next Avengers movie.
He's using, this is like litigation abuse. He is trying to inflict pain. Again, this is my perspective, pain and punishment because he has come undone, realizing that she had some sort of like an emotional affair with Justin Baldoni.
This wasn't damage control. This was emotional abuse dressed up in PR buzzwords. Ryan wasn't trying to heal anything. He was trying to control everything. He chose to punish, not forgive. To micromanage, not communicate. This wasn't love. This was image maintenance by any means necessary. And honestly, are we even shocked? The Reynolds-Lively marriage always looked more like a quarterly marketing strategy than an actual relationship. Everything about them screamed brand collab, not soulmates. It's almost hilarious how obvious it was once you pull back the curtain. Blake's entire career has been one long audition to be somebody's trophy wife, and Ryan just happened to be the highest bidder at the time. But true to form, Blake couldn't help herself. She spent her whole life falling head over heels for every co-star within arm's reach. Penn Badgley during Gossip Girl? Check. Ben Affleck during The Town? Check. Justin Baldoni during It Ends With Us? Triple check. Blake Lively's real career isn't acting. It's playing emotional ping pong with whoever's closest on set. Ryan was supposed to be the final stop. Instead, he became the next sucker on her list.
And she could do this to her male co-stars, but then when Justin clearly responds to her self-tanner, which then she tries to maliciously label as something else, he's a predator, but actually a sexual predator in private.
And honestly, insiders say Blake's role wasn't even about love. It was about optics. Blake wasn't just Ryan's wife, she was his beard. The pretty blonde accessory designed to protect Ryan's full-blown emotional love affair with Hugh Jackman. And when you look at the receipts, it's all right there in neon lights. Ryan calls Hugh his emotional soulmate in interviews, his life partner. He practically proposes to the man every time he's within 10 feet of a microphone. Meanwhile, what does Blake get? A couple of sarcastic tweets and passive-aggressive birthday posts.
Whatever. The reality is, this doesn't help your case. This coupled with the premiere at South by Southwest, this coupled with Saturday Night Live 50, this coupled with you still being employed with the Penguin documentary that you're out there hawking.
When Ryan talks about Hugh, he lights up like a teenager talking about their first crush. When he talks about Blake, it sounds like he's describing a nice set of patio furniture. The emotional distance couldn't be more obvious if it slapped you across the face with a Black History Month muffin kit. Hugh gets the loyalty. Hugh gets the adoration. Hugh gets the googly eyes. Blake gets kids, and lots of them. 4, to be exact. Popped out like perfectly timed PR stunts to keep the Reynolds family brand looking shiny.
Means that he has not yet come to terms with his ego. That's scary. That's narcissism, right? Like that is not a relationship you want to be in, because he's basically saying, I will burn down my entire house.
Honestly, the real love story here isn't Ryan and Blake. It's Ryan and Hugh. Blake was just the placeholder, the girl in the background, baking cinnamon rolls, while Ryan whispered sweet nothings about Wolverine behind closed doors. And that brings us to the final delicious crash of this pastel-painted train wreck. The Reynolds-Lively empire, once shoved down our throats as Hollywood's perfect marriage, is now nothing but a pile of burnt muffins and broken contracts. All that staged perfection, the photo ops, the curated Instagram posts, the matching Christmas cards. It was never about love. It was about selling a fantasy. Blake weaponized everything she could get her hands on: feminism, motherhood, trauma, baked goods. And she still failed spectacularly. Turns out you can't fake empowerment by grabbing your co-star's junk on camera and then crying about harassment when the script flips on you. You can't fake motherhood by shoving your baby into every staged photo shoot while plotting lawsuits behind the scenes. You can't fake trauma by crying to the courts one day and throwing flour in a bakery the next. Ryan, for his part, didn't exactly cover himself in glory either. He traded emotional maturity for totalitarian image control. Instead of facing his marriage imploding like a grown adult, he threw tantrums, filed lawsuits, micromanaged Instagram posts, and weaponized the media. All because he couldn't stand the idea that the internet's favorite Canadian might actually look like the petty, controlling narcissist he is. In the end, the truth came out anyway. Hollywood's favorite couple wasn't made of magic and love. They were made of brand addiction and mutual opportunism. Blake needed Ryan's power. Ryan needed Blake's pretty face. Together, they built a papier-mâché empire that crumbled the second real life came knocking. And the real casualties? Their 4 kids, stuck watching their parents turn family life into a PR battlefield. The public, fed a decade-long lie about a perfect marriage. The co-stars and colleagues they trampled along the way. Turns out, if you have to stage your trauma and bake your lies, maybe you're not the victim after all. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, because with Blake and Ryan's circus collapsing, the real show is just getting started.